I keep my goals to myself, cause whenever I share with folks, they get a look upon their face and their memory floats to a time where their goals and the stars.
What's good? Let's get into the Great American Bash from June the 28th, 2026. This was a very, very good pay-per-view. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I had fun with basically almost all the matches. And I feel that watching this on free television was great. Now, the only downside was it was a ton of commercials, which we knew going into this thing it was going to happen anyway. And we had 1,000,001 pictures during the match, right? That happened for every single match, minus the speed match, the women's speed match, right? But this was great, and I thoroughly enjoyed this. And I think this reminded me of what TNA used to do back when they were Impact. I believe they used to do this from like 2016 to maybe 2018, to where they did TNA pay-per-views on free TV, but they would do it in 2-week intervals. So week 1 would be X amount of matches, week 2 would be X amount of matches. So I do like that, but this was better, and I like this. This is excellent. This is something that I can get used to. I think this was a very successful show for the CW, and this is something that TNA should implement, and I think this is something that AEW should definitely do, in my opinion, but it is what it is. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the show. There really was no pre-show. So we kicked the show off with the first match of the night, Tony D'Angelo versus Naraku for the NXT Championship. This match was solid. I was shocked. I thought this was going to be the main event, but they ended up saying the main event was going to be Kendal Grey versus Lola Vice, which is fine. But I just thought that they were going to end up doing this as the main event. And I'm kind of glad that they didn't do that. They didn't go that route. Because this match was okay. I actually enjoyed this. So Tony D'Angelo started out with a bunch of fire. He ended up spearing Naraku through the barricade, through the crowd. They popped pretty hard for that. It's always that same little spot that they always do it in. So the match continued on. Tony D did a bunch of German suplexes and stuff. Naraku ended up doing a beautiful suplex off the top rope. So there was that. I like that. And then the match continued on. Tony D'Angelo ended up hitting a German suplex. Naraku hit one of his own. Tony D no-sold that shit, and then he ended up hitting the dead to rights for the 1, 2, 3. And this was fine. So this made sense. As a show opener, it's fine, but why would this open the show, basically? Because I thought that they were going to end up bringing in some new characters, like we were teased at. But I think that this is not over with yet. Tony D was still selling the eye patch injury. The eye patch injury from Tuesday, where he got a fireball in his face, which was great. So I like that. This is not over with. Clearly, they're going to do the House of Torture faction. We should probably get a glimpse of that on Tuesday. I think that's where their feud's going to continue. So again, this is not over by a long shot, but this match was fine actually. Moving on, this leads us into Tatum Paxley versus Zaria for the NXT Women's North American Championship. This was fucking awesome. This was amazing. I love this. Tatum and Zaria have excellent chemistry. This match was solid. The crowd was super into this shit, and I was too. So Zaria ended up doing a beautiful headbutt in this match early on. Tatum Paxley tried to put a sleeper hold on Zaria. Zaria fought out. Match continued on. Tatum Paxley ended up hitting a beautiful crossbody from the top rope. She also hit a German suplex. She did a beautiful thrust kick in the corner. So, Tatum was about to go for a superplex, but Zaria got out of that and hit a spear. So the match continued on. They fought on the outside for a little bit. Tatum ended up hitting a cemetery drive on the outside and another one in ring. Zaria kicked out. I thought that was going to be over. Then they go... no, I got that mixed up. I'm sorry. So Tatum Paxley ended up hitting a powerbomb on the outside. She ended up grabbing the belt. She looked super emotional about it. She ended up hitting the cemetery drive on the outside, and she ended up hitting one inside. So the match continued on, which was insane. Zaria ended up hitting a spear, and then she hit an F5 to retain the championship. This match was great. This was good shit here. This was good shit. I love this. They have excellent chemistry, and both females brought it. Like, this was excellent. This was literally the second best match of the night on this show. Right? Because that main event was phenomenal, and we'll talk about that. But this was easily the second best match of the night. And I was just like, damn, this is great. This is great. And it seems like they're going to have Tatum stick around in NXT, which is fine. I for whatever reason, thought she was going to go to the main roster. She probably will get her call-up eventually, but that may happen probably towards the end of the year. I doubt if it'll happen right now because there aren't really any slots open. And, yeah. I don't want her to get, fucked over on the main roster. But this match was great, so moving on from that, this leads us into Ren Sinclair and Kendal Grey. They get fired up ahead of their respective matches, so there's that. So that's fine. Moving on from that, so Robert Stone, he was talking to Vanity Project, who talked all tough until Robert Stone told him that Jackson Drake would face Mason Rook, and then he announced that the rest of the Vanity Project, they're going to be defending their tag team titles against Dr. Wagner Jr. and his brother, Galliano. Okay, that's cool. I like that. Pretty good stuff there. Nice. Moving on from that, this leads us into Shiloh Hill defeating Tristan Angels. This match was okay. Again, you guys know I'm not a fan of Shiloh Hill from an in-ring perspective, but I do like his character work. However, but this match was kind of weird and clunky at times. So there was like this bizarre spot where Tristan went under the ring, and they ended up doing like some type of cinematic moment in there where Shiloh Hill's there and he's like choking him out and stuff. It was weird as fuck. So he threw him back out from under the ring, and then Shiloh Hill ended up hitting the whatever he calls his finish. He hit his finish for the 1-2-3. I really don't care about this. Clearly, it was just somebody being a double for Shiloh Hill that was under the ring. So it is what it is. Kind of rare. And then, like I said before, I forgot to mention, he got a phone call, and he picked it up and answered it, and a weird voice said the fog was coming over and over again. And so, there's that. That was kind of interesting, but I don't know about this shit. I really don't. Post-match, Emily Agard, she asked Shiloh Hill about the match afterwards. He said that he's not pretty or polished, but tonight is why nobody sleeps on Shiloh Hill. Okay, whatever. I really don't care about this at all. I don't. Moving on from that, this leads us into Natalya. She's backstage with Layla Diggs, Carmen Petrovich, and Nikita Lyons, who's now the new Evolve Women's Champion, which is cool. So there's that. I like that. So they just said some words. They talked about Jada Parker and everything else, and Cameron's gonna be taking care of her on NXT this upcoming Tuesday. Okay, that's fine. Whatever. Moving on, this leads us into Ren Sinclair. She defeats Ariana Grace to retain the Women's Speed Championship. So Birthright is ineffective as fuck as a stable. Birthright should disband completely. That shit should disband. I'm being serious. Like, just disband it. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know. I'm at a loss for words. It's like, they clearly don't care about this stable. It was clearly made for David Finlay, which they probably all knew that he wasn't coming, so why even do the stable? So, I don't know, man. It's not really that important. Whatever. Moving on, this leads us into Saquon Shugars defeating Dion Lennox. This match was actually pretty good. So I do like that. So this match was hard-hitting, basically. Earlier on, Darkstate got involved, and Saquon Shugars fought them off and everything. He fought them off. He ended up locking in a leg submission in the match. So basically, Saquon Shugars ended up doing a beautiful clothesline from hell in the match. Dion Lennox did a bunch of power moves, German suplexes, couple drop kicks, stuff like that. And then Saquon Shugars, he ended up hitting a backsplash for the 1-2-3. So, there's that. Post-match, Darkstate, they beat the shit out of Saquon Shugars, so the feud basically continues. So, there's that. And Dion ended up grabbing a baseball bat, hitting him in the ribs with it, and he also hit him across the back with the baseball bat. So we all know that this shit's going to continue on. I wish it would. I wish it wouldn't, but it is what it is. What's done is done. There's nothing we can do about it. This match was fun too. Moving on. This leads us into Tatum Paxley. So she's talking to Emily Agard backstage about losing the big one. So Kalani Jordan, she shows up. She mocks Tatum and says that she's better, but she always gets overlooked by people like you. And then she says it's honestly pathetic. And then this pissed off Tatum, and then they had a little brawl. So I like that. So clearly they're going to feud Tatum Paxley with Kalani Jordan. And I think once she loses that, then she'll probably be out of NXT more than likely, which actually does make sense. So, yeah. Moving on from that, Tavion Heights versus Miles Bourne. Miles Bourne defeats Tavion Heights to retain the North American Championship. And this match was actually pretty okay. I actually did like this match. This was pretty solid. Tavion showed a bunch of fire in this match. Same thing with Miles Bourne. What had happened in the middle of the match, they had a head-on collision. Both knocked each other out. Both were able to get to their feet. Towards the end of the match, Tavion hit a beautiful belly-to-back suplex, and he got a 2 count for that. So Tavion did a overhead belly-to-belly suplex on the outside, which was nasty. I thought, they were going to end up giving him the win, but it didn't happen. So Miles Bourne ended up hitting the Born Again out of nowhere, and that was it. So this is fine. However, I thought that they should have given it to Tavion because he is directionless. Where does he go now that he's lost? I could see him maybe joining Birthright, but it wouldn't make any sense because he's not a second-generation star or nothing like that or whatever. So I don't know what you could do with him going forward. That's why I wish that he would have won, in my opinion. He should have won. But they opted to go with Miles Bourne because I just feel that the Miles Bourne experiment is over. Like, it didn't need to last that long. So, post-match, Miles Bourne cut a promo saying that he's going to hold the title for a long, long time. And he's been champion for 4 months, which is insane. So he's had this thing since February. That's fucking insane. Like, who's going to be the guy to dethrone him? Could it be a guy like Tristan Angels? I think that'd be good. I don't know. Moving on from that. So NXT, that we're doing another pay-per-view, NXT Heatwave, that's going to be announced it's going to be on August 30th. That's going to be the same day as All In. Now, I know people can say, that's counter programming. It's like, no, it's not. This is going to take place in the evening at 7. All In will take place probably around 2 o'clock. Shit. And Tony Khan might try his damnedest to do a 4.5 hour pay-per-view. Because, that's just all he knows how to do. It's just book these long-ass pay-per-views. That's why I really didn't like, Forbidden Door. So there's that. Alright, moving on from that. This leads us into Hank and Tank. They were talking some noise or whatever. They went over the match card and stuff and all that. So there's that. Whatever, who cares? Gunnar Carver showed up and beat the shit out of both guys. That was hilarious. So EK Prosper, he was on this show also backstage. He still wanted to get his hands on Keanu Carver for putting him through the announce table on NXT this past week. So he's going to be rewarded by getting a shot at Vikingo. I forgot what title he's got in AAA, but that should be fun. So there's moving on. this leads us into the main event of the evening. Kendal Grey defeats Lola Vice to become the new NXT Women's Champion. This match was fucking amazing. I'm not gonna hold you guys up. This match was great. And I didn't even think that they were gonna have Lola lose. I'm not gonna hold you guys on that one. I didn't think that Lola was gonna lose. I didn't. Because she just won the title back in, 2 months ago. She only had like a 2-month reign as champion. Which is fine though. So both of their families were there. So Kendal Gray's family was there. Same with Lola Vice family was there. Vic ended up mentioning on commentary that Lola Vice's mom is a cancer survivor, which is great. So that's good. This match was excellent. So they traded strikes back and forth early on. Lola ended up trying to lock in some submissions, but to no avail. Kendal Grey ended up doing a bunch of German suplexes, drop kicks, arm drags. Lola Vice tried to lock in her submissions, the arm bar, the rolling arm bar as well. Just good stuff. Beautiful transitions. Man, this match had it all. The crowd was super into this. Super into it. So towards the middle of the match, Colleen Jordan came out to get involved. Ren Sinclair showed up. The two of them had a brawl and everything else. So Lola Vice ended up kicking Kendal Grey in the ribs. So Lola Vice ended up doing her hip attack in the corner twice, which was great. So that was excellent there. Lola ended up hitting some German suplexes. Then Lola Vice ended up hitting one of her own. Both women were down. So the match continues on via a bunch of strikes and everything else and all that stuff. So then they end up doing the boo yay between the two of them. Like, they were trying to make Lola Vice the heel here, which she really wasn't. And then again, this is why I don't like a babyface versus babyface, because Lola, she's not a chicken shit heel. So, yeah. But the match continued on. So they fought on the outside. Kendal Grey ended up hitting the Shades of Grey on the outside. Both women were out. They ended up able to get back into the ring at the count of 8. Match continued on. Lola ended up trying to lock in a guillotine. Kendal Grey got out of that and ended up hitting a beautiful Northern Lights suplex for a 2. Then they traded right to the left, back and forth. Then they ended up doing a beautiful spinning back fist followed by a nasty elbow, taking each other out, which was great. They ended up doing a double pin. They both kicked out at 2. That was fucking tremendous. And then the finish came when Lola was trying to go for a spinning back fist. Kendal got out of dodge, ended up hitting the Shades of Grey again for the 1, 2, 3. And that was it. This was great. The crowd popped massively. I love this. This was excellent. This was tremendous. I like this because it kind of shows us that Lola Vice is probably on her way out, because she's been in NXT for about 3 years. It was a short reign for Lola. She only had it for about 2 months. And she just accepted defeat post-match, and then that was it. So Ren Sinclair came out post-match and celebrated. Again, this was the right decision. I didn't think that they were going to switch the title off of Lola so quickly, because I was thinking they were going to let her have it for at least a good 4 or 5 months at least, but that wasn't the case, and it's fine. It's fine to have short reigns sometimes. I could see her going to the main roster, but I doubt it. I think what they're going to end up doing with her is probably just keep her in AAA for a while, continue to keep her on there for a little bit, and boost AAA up some more. So I think that's all what this means, really. I doubt if they're going to do another match. Clearly, Lola didn't need to turn heel at all, so that probably won't happen. So I do think she'll probably end up going the AAA route for a little while. Who's Kendal Grey's first challenger? I have no idea. I really couldn't tell you. It could be Izzy Dame, maybe. I think that would be good. So we'll have to wait and see. But all in all, NXT Great American Bash was very good. Main event was solid. I like the Tony D'Angelo, Naraku stuff. The speed match was fine. Birthright needs to be dissolved in acid because it's just a shitty faction. It needs to end. Shiloh Hill and Tristan Angels, I could done without that. That could have taken place on a random episode of NXT. So, there's that. So, all in all, this was a pretty good pay-per-view, and I thoroughly enjoyed this, and I liked it. Again, the only problem, too many commercials and too much picture-in-picture, but it happens. But what did you guys think of the show? Let me know. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace.